Good evening, everybody. Great to see you all here for our next installment of For the Life of the World, Religious Responses to the Climate Crisis. Glad that you all could be here tonight on a very wet night. Welcome to those of you who may be joining us via YouTube. Glad that you could join us and hope you enjoy the evening. I am going to make this very brief. I just wanted to do a little welcome. My name is Mark Lingle, head of the Interfaith Council and also St. Francis Episcopal Church. I wanted to just remind you that this is a monthly program over the program or academic year. So we will be meeting next month, Thursday, February 16th at 7 p.m. This time we will be gathering at Temple Sinai, and Andrew Krizak, who's the priest at St. John's Episcopal Church, will be presenting. So part of what we've been trying to do over the course of the year is have different voices from different traditions and meeting in different places. So thank you again for those of you here tonight, those of you who are online. We're delighted to have with us our newest pastor in town. Christina Hansen is interim at First United Methodist Church. She'll be presenting, and we're delighted to have her here. Christina.
So good evening. Thanks for being here. I kind of got excited about doing this, and I'm hoping I can pull it off. But I wanted to start by taking us back to the beginning. Yeah, I remember when Mark and I were speaking, we were saying, everybody's going to read Genesis 1, and then we're going to start from there. But I thought I'd give us a little bit of a take on Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And God created humans, saying, let them have dominion over it. In the beginning, God created the waters. And God created humans, saying, let them have dominion over the waters. In the beginning, God created the fish, the birds, the animals. And God created the humans, saying, let them have dominion over the fish and the birds and the animals. Just wanted us to reflect on the contrast between the beauty of the creation story and all of its vivid imagery and what is easily found on the internet these days of the pictures of the horrific way that we have treated nature. But I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. How many of you remember the magazine Garbage? Thank you, Dan. I saw, in my 20s, I saw this magazine called Garbage, and my friends started calling me Garbage Girl, which was completely inappropriate. Garbage Woman, thank you very much. I was a full-fledged adult. But I got really excited about it because for the first time, I started to think about garbage dumps and thinking that if we could just go in there and take the cans out and take out the dryers and take out the paper and if we could just take all this stuff out and reuse it, then it would go down and down and down. There would be very little in our garbage dumps. And so Garbage Girl it was. But that has impacted me through all of my growing up. And while I didn't know the term hazmat suit back then, that's what I envisioned, that we would all get our hazmat suits on and go out there and clean up the world. And then came the whole reuse, reduce, recycle. When did that start? Does anybody have any thought of when that started? Reuse, reduce, recycle. And I thought that was great. And what have we focused on? We've focused on the recycle part of it. And maybe even a little bit on the reuse. But I think that the key to our success is reduce. So here's one of our challenge. This is the paper products aisle at the grocery store. As we can see, there is once again a run on toilet paper. When will it ever end? I don't know. Where have all the toilet papers gone? This is dish soaps. An entire aisle of dish soaps. How about the hand soap aisle? So exciting, so many ways to clean our hands. Hair products. Shampoo everywhere. And then, of course, laundry soap has its own aisle as well. Anything that you notice about these pictures? Is there one word that starts with P that is coming to mind? Plastic. And then, of course, there is the plastic container aisle, which they even sell us them without anything in them so that we can then use them as well. And God created humans saying, let them have dominion. So that's kind of where I went. Are you aware of the fact that out in the Pacific there is a garbage patch that's the size of like a continent floating out there? And what I have learned over the last few years, which maybe you have too, is that very little plastic that we are dutifully separating and putting into our bins is actually being recycled at all. NPR backs up a number of the reports that I have seen that say that 5% of plastic waste gets recycled in the United States. And it used to be that a whole ton of it was going over to China, but in 2018, they said, time out. The facilities are not prepared to handle it. Each of the different pieces of plastic have, even if they have the same number, they've been made differently, and so they can't be melted down and reused together, even though the ones are with ones and the twos are with twos, which makes the batch no good for anybody, and so hence we get down to 5%. Paper, a little bit better, little bit lot. The suggestion is that 68% of our paper gets recycled, so far more of that. And then metal and glass, higher yet. But plastic, And the statistic that stood out to me was in 1980, US Americans generated about 60 pounds of plastic waste per person in 1980. 60 pounds a year. You ready for the 2018 number? 218 pounds per person per year. And there we are with our load of garbage out in the Pacific Ocean with no place to go. People keep going and they go clean it up. Where is it going and what are they making with it? You can only make so many of those bracelets to remind us that there's plastic in the ocean right before it goes back out. It's like, haven't I seen that plastic bottle before? I think it's back. So when we were talking about this back in July, when you said, hey, you want to do this? And I said, sure. The thought that I had was, climate change your home. So here's the question for the night. What room in your home has the most plastic and disposables? Kitchen? Bathroom? Kitchen? Yeah, kitchen, bathroom, two of the biggest. And then, because it almost has nothing else, the laundry room, right? So I thought it might be helpful for me and for us it might be helpful for me to take you through a journey that Leslie, my spouse Leslie, and I have been going through over the course, especially far more intensely in the last decade, as we start to try to nip this problem in the bud. And so what I'm going to do is give you the top 10 solutions that we have come up with as for each of these rooms. So starting with the kitchen. Have you found the pods for your dishwashers yet? I'm hoping that people will find those happy making because they're neat and they're tidy and they don't drip anywhere and everything else. But the truth is that they have far less packaging. They're still in plastic, the bag, but the plastic that they're in is made of alcohol. It's an alcohol-based plastic, so it literally dissolves in your dishwasher and it doesn't cause a pollutant issue there. So it's literally I'm not going to use the wrong word because somebody's going to say she doesn't know what the word polymer means, so I'm not going to use that word. But the makeup, the physical makeup of it is actually different. Dish soap. Did any of you have some herny relatives from the old country from Europe that actually just use a bar of soap on the side of the sink? Yeah. What happened to those days? We actually have had to relearn to do that. And in fact, here's one right here. So, simple, nifty, just a piece of soap, and we wash our dishes with this. Anybody feel inclined to give this a shot? Raise your hand, go quick, okay, there you go. Most people that they were going to get freebies today if they came here, so give it a try. Also, liquid hand soap. Does anybody remember bars of soap? I mean, are we really so far away from bars of soap? We have a little bit of a love relationship with certain liquid soaps, but at the same time, we've really tried to switch out a lot to bar soap and to really reduce the amount that we are using. And the liquid hand soap that we now get in metal instead of plastic. So that's been something that we've changed. Also, scrubbers. These look just like the scrubbers that you have at home. We're cheap, so you're going to chase me around the room?
Well, if you step out of the frame, I won't be able to
Yes,
get you off the camera.
I'll try to stay in the
Thank you.
frame. I'll do my best. They look just like the ones that you probably use at home. We are very cheap, so we cut them in half. Cheap in the very best. These are made from walnut and cellulose. Anybody want to try them out? Yeah. Okay. Make sure somebody else gets one of those too. Anybody else want to try one out? Don't be shy. And as I say, we cut them in half and just use half of them. So that's number 4. Getting rid of those plastic-based or the ones that don't decompose. Those go right into the compost when we're done. We just drop them into the compost. Paper towels and napkins. When our son lived with us, who's 81 years old, I'll explain that to you afterwards if you're interested. We could go through a roll of these in a day, and the same with Kleenex. So we truly believe that the world will be a safer place once Philip moves on. The forests will be reforested and things like that. But we've actually only gone through one full one since we've been here since July. Why? Because first of all, that's not paper. This is made of bamboo. Anybody had bamboo paper in your house yet? Well, then you need to have some. Yeah. So instead, bamboo is a plant that grows extremely quickly. It is farmed. It is the production of the paper from it is being done ethically, and you don't have to tear down a forest to do it. or replant a tree that takes years and years and years. It's a very renewable resource. So bamboo paper is a good way of getting around that. Also rags, you know, those t-shirts that you love that you must give up now, and you must cut them up. Those are rags. And then of course cloth napkins and cloth towels. So when you start to use things that don't go bad, how many of you use plastic containers? It's a pretty normal thing, right? Yeah. We switched over to glass containers. Where's the problem? The problem comes when you order out takeout. They don't send it home to you, you know, in a nice glass container and say, please just bring this back when you come back next week, right? But we've switched over to glass containers and do not buy the disposable plastic ones. Plastic wrap and aluminum foil. Sometimes you just gotta be a little more creative. Did you know that a round plate fits very neatly on top of a round bowl? It's amazing. And also, have you been familiar? Oh, we didn't show them any of the beeswax wrap. We didn't bring that. Anybody aware of the beeswax wrap yet? Take a look for it. It's a renewable resource, and once, you know, I mean, it's something that is made of natural materials, and again, it can be composted once it gets to the point where it's no longer usable. And we have been searching out a solution to plastic garbage bags. Isn't that like the most difficult thing in the world? And the only difference now between not getting them at the grocery stores is that you have to now buy them, but it doesn't actually reduce the amount of plastic bags we use because, well, we still have that plastic bag underneath the sink for all the that goes into it, right? That needs to be tied up and into our garbage cans. I have as yet to think that the garbage, that the sanitation folks would appreciate if we just dumped things loosely, not so much, into our garbage cans and then have them try to put it in the truck. But they are making, at this point, we've come across something we're trying out as a compostable plastic garbage bag, meaning that it's going to break down much quicker in the dump, but it's going to break down much quicker than the plastic bag that you get that says, thank you, on the side of it, you know, those ones that we use. And, excuse me while I take a sip of water from my paper cup that I'm going to throw away in a little while. But, you know, glass cups, metal cups, right? So, and then finally, the food problem, right? Food garbage. We buy a composter wherever we move. We've already set one up to where we'll be moving next, because this is, Mark said, is an interim position. So we've already got one waiting for us in our next place. But vegetable scraps and coffee and cacao and tea bags and tea leaves. We take the eggshells and we put them in the oven at like 190, not 250, not 300. Whew. Don't do that to your house, don't do that to your family. But, you know, it heats them up, dries them out, and when we put them in a blender, and it grinds it into a fine dust. And actually, we've used that in the garden. You use that around your roses, you use it in a food garden. It's calcium. It's pure calcium. So wherever that works well for the farmer, it works well. And I'm amazed at how much we produce that goes into the compost. Those ends of those carrots and the zucchinis and the, yeah. Right, so Stanford has a program. Yeah, for the folks who are online, Stanford has a program that, you know, even if you're living in an apartment, you can still have something that's up on top of your counter and put the scraps into it. It doesn't give you much to do with, what do you do with the fat off the edges of meat products? That still ends up being garbage, but I am always amazed at how much would have gone into the garbage because, we get to move to new places and start over, and the compost grows, and then it becomes beautiful dirt, and then it goes to gardens. And I always really enjoy the volunteers that show up in our gardens when we do that. It's like, oh, look, there's a squash over by the pine tree. How'd it get there? But of course, we still have problems, right? Food comes in packages. Much of it is plastic. We're on a meat co-op, and we said, can't you just wrap it in remember the old butcher paper? They're not allowed to. They must wrap it in plastic. They have no choice.
My butcher shop wraps in brown paper.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the co-ops are not being allowed to do so. But, and so then, so then we learned something. The local butcher will wrap it in paper. That's one step in the right direction. And so, but dog and cat food is still large plastic. Creamers and milk containers, egg cartons. I've taken to making I can't drink a dairy, so I've taken to making my own nut milk at home, and so now I no longer have, a plastic container every week that I'm putting into the dump, so I'm happy about that. Question? Was there a question, or? Okay. So let's go to the bathroom. This is perhaps one of the places where I get most happy. Happy. How many of you are using bar shampoo and bar conditioner? The one who has no choice. How many of you are intrigued by that? Okay. Edie, why don't you hand them out? Whomever you want to. These bars are great. And I have not missed a bottle for it to come out of. How many of you are using shower gel? Right? Yeah. It really, to go back to just a really nice soap that smells really good and it feels really nice, saves that plastic container that it's in. Toothpaste, that was a tricky one for me. Did I bring my toothpaste?
No, we didn't get toothpaste.
So how many of you have found these little chiclets that are called tooth bites? It's literally like a mint, and you pop it in, you chew it down, and you brush your teeth, and you get toothpaste in your mouth. It comes in a glass jar the first time round, and then every 4 months you get a little paper bag that's filled up with 4 months worth of those little gizmos, and you put the paper in the compost. Happy. No, because see, I'm one of those people, and then I'll go on. But anyway, where I would cut open the tube of toothpaste after it was done, and then surgically cut it open so that I could get every last bit out of it. You get another good week and a half out of it when you do that. But still in all, there's that piece of plastic, and it goes. So yeah, and I've given you some resources in the back of this to go take a peeking around. Also, plastic toothbrushes. Did you know they make bamboo toothbrushes? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Who's feeling ashamed of their plastic toothbrush? There we go. Absolutely. If you feel shame about your plastic toothbrush, please raise your hand. There's one more. There you go. Oh. What happens is if you play any games on your phone and you find an interesting ad, they will continue to find you. So basically what happened to me was I began to start to find the websites because the websites found me. I was interested in the bar soap, which made them interested in telling me about something else, which then led me to. So I've got some resources in the back of your handouts that will help you to go looking for yourself to find these things. So that's through 5. And then, how much, you know, the plastic razor. Does anybody remember when razors were only metal? Yeah. Yeah, we're not giving you this one. This is like, this is like a weapon, okay? It is metal, and I was at first a little afraid to use this on my underarms. I'll be honest with you. But it's actually quite safe. And you know what? It's gonna last forever. And when the blades get dull, there's a little pack that you fill it up, and you can fill like 100 blades in this amount and send it back to the company. So, you know, there's an investment at the beginning of it, but after that, it's, now, deodorants have been interesting. How many of you have gone to a paper deodorant? You can't have these either, because they're ours. This is Leslie's. And this is actually mine. It is a refillable one. There's paper. Let me see where I'm supposed to be. There's a paper insert, and it goes up in here, and so I get refills. So I've got a container for it to be in. There are deodorants that literally will just come in a little bag. And at this point, I found them to be a little too harsh as far as applying them, but I'm sure they're gonna get better and better, that there's literally not even something that you have to compost at the end of it, nor did they kill a tree nor did they have to take down a tree to do it. I try to use those, but they need to get better. Did you know that lotion can come in a bar? That was the most exciting thing when I found lotion in a bar, and I didn't bring that either. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. But, you know, really when you think about our products, they are predominantly water. So remove the water, right? And what do you get? You get a cake. And you literally just put the lotion on and rub it in, and it's a bar, and there goes away the plastic. The bamboo toilet paper, yes indeedy. Everybody's gonna get one if you're not everybody's gonna get a roll to go home, right? We have another set of these, right? Yeah. Okay. So don't leave here. Aren't you wishing you came here tonight, folks who are talking to us on the web?
I actually have bamboo, so just saying.
Rock on. Yeah. So.
I don't need one, thank you.
And,
I have a closet full of it.
and these are bamboo tissues. This is a tissue made from bamboo.
No, that's the,
Yeah. I think it's in the box, so we'll make sure that we give it out before we leave. So, you know, using a renewable paper, I mean, I'm not convinced that there is a way around toilet paper. I'm not convinced, if you know what I mean. So, but I think that the bamboo is certainly an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody remember Dipsity-Doo or Dip-Dee-Doo or whatever it was? It was a hair gel and it came in a little jar. I can't find hair gel in a jar to save my life. I found some on the web once. It was clearly somebody who had done something out of their home. They clearly got shut down, and I could never find them again. It was good hair gel, but it was like a little frightening. There was no label on it. It was like, keep it cold, keep it in the refrigerator, don't, throw it out after 6 months. I was like, okay. And you can also make your own hair gel with flaxseed in like about 3 minutes. But you have to be willing to kind of get a couple of flax seeds out of your hair after you've put it in. So there are some things I've noticed. So That's the bathroom. And then on to the laundry room. How many of you have found the dissolving paper detergents yet? Okay, we don't have a ton of them. Who is particularly eager to try paper? Okay, we literally will use only half of one of these in a load unless it's a big load, so it's 60. Throw over, there you go. It dissolves in the laundry, you just drop it in. It's not like a dryer sheet that you have to fish it out later, it's just gone. And as I say, when we do laundry, we often will just use a half a sheet, so that's 60 loads, but it's actually more than that. And think about all those jugs. Remember that picture of all those jugs? A little frightening. And how many of you use dryer sheets? Have you heard about these yet? Leslie told me that I couldn't give them away. So, but she'll show them to you. They're dryer balls. She puts 3 of them in there, and it does the same sort of thing as far as.
These are made of wool, and I found that the wool ones are much better than the plastic ones.
So those are made of wool, and if you want to show them over here to the folks at home, yeah. So.
But you can probably take a look at the brand.
So, if you walk your way through these things again, and you think about that, and you think about your choices, you really start to have less and less garbage overall. And so you know that less and less of what you're contributing is to that island. Here are some of the resources that I would invite you to go. The Bite toothpaste bits. It's literally like chomping on a mint, so if you have children at home, be careful. Make sure that they're not just left out because they'll think they're candy. You really do have to keep them up. But you just chew them about 10 times and then start brushing. It's like, I have toothpaste in my mouth. Grove is one of the companies that is dedicated right now. They are plastic neutral, meaning for all the plastic that they've gone lower and lower in their use of plastic, but they're also cleaning out the ocean for every bit of plastic that they use. But then we go back to that conversation, where is it going that they're pulling out? Where does it ultimately end up? Vanilla, I have no idea. I've never tried to pronounce that word before. That's the hair care people who, those little boxes of things. Zero Waste Store and Sustainable Jungle. Sustainable Jungle will get you out to a whole bunch of places where they literally have stores out there now who are trying to figure out how to not have any packaging at all on products. Like how can we get things to the consumer with the minimum amount of packaging on it? So that's it, and that's all. Let me escape and go back to the beginning.
Notice you have some dog things.
Yeah, let's see, what haven't I talked about?
I ran out of these, but these are called pooch paper, and it's similar to a wax type paper that is compostable. So if you've got dogs that have, well, okay, I'll say, really good poops, that are really easy to pick up.
Then you're
which
good.
is really good. But
Right.
if you have dogs that don't have really good poops and you need a bag, these are compostable.
Who's got a dog? Send them around. The other thing that we do have here is this is a multi-purpose cleaner. It's in glass, still it's got a cap. And it's just a concentrate. So you put it in your bottle, your glass bottle with the metal and fill it up with this. So this is a multi-purpose cleaner. Who enjoys cleaning their floors? Who does it anyway? Anybody? Okay, Dan. Just find something to put it in. Anybody else want to try a floor cleaner? There we go. Send that on back. Who likes to clean their glass? Who likes to clean the mirrors and nobody really likes this stuff, but who actually does it? And who would like just a multi-purpose cleaner? We use this on our surfaces in the kitchen. There we go. So, what I'm hoping is that this will inspire you to consider looking through your home and seeing how much plastic you're relying on. It seeped into our lives. It really did. It seeped into our lives. And there's no place for it anymore. And we've got a cleanup effort that nobody knows how to do. Literally, even the recyclers are saying, yeah, we're not set up to actually recycle. We were set up to send stuff to China. And then we had this little bit of recycling stuff we do, but everything that you send us clogs up our machines, and so it doesn't actually work. So in the reduce, reuse, and recycle, I'm inviting us to consider reducing as far as we possibly can. So to climate change your home. Any questions? Do you want to come? I think you need to speak to the mic. I'll repeat it then. Well, I think for the most part, the Brita, the thing is, it eventually will die on you, or we should eventually stop using it because plastic will eventually start to break down. But they're not giving us a lot of other options. We're not seeing a glass jug with some sort of a Brita filter, and then we don't know what to do with the innards of the Brita filters yet either. But we do need to filter our water, don't we? I mean, most of us do. There's an awful lot of stuff in the water. So I think that's one of those ones where you just keep looking. And that's what we do, is we just keep looking, and then we're at the point where we're sort of carving away instead of pulling and dumping away. We're at the carving stage ourselves. So keep thinking. Yeah. Any other questions?
Because you're from the Methodist Church, and is there a movement in the Methodist Church itself in terms of advocacy and legislation around again the environmental initiatives?
Yeah, environmental initiatives are always part of what's going on in the United Methodist Church. COVID has just slammed the brakes on so much. I couldn't tell you what's currently on the docket for it. So.
But is it that you have as an institution people who are committed to that and working on behalf of the church, or
Well, we have our social principles, which have some of that in them. Yeah, it's probably not as strong as it could be. I wonder, who we should be. This is one of the wonderful things about Interfaith is we can go around and say, who's got a strong one? Who's got strong advocacy for the environment? Because, I think it would really help all of us to be able to just get on somebody else's train. I mean, this is like 10 years of my work that I just, that I threw at you in about 40 minutes. So, yeah, if we could help each other. How about the Episcopal Church? They got anything?
Well, I was thinking, that there are, and again, it depends on how efficacious they are, but there is an Office of Governmental Affairs, and there's in the Lutheran Church, there's a Lutheran Office of Governmental Affairs. So they are advocating, at the federal level, based on some statements and concerns that the larger church has.
Mm-hmm.
And again, how effective that is, but there are voices that are in Washington ways of doing that. And I think you're right, maybe it is that we need to be joining together on those kinds of things and finding out who may already have a body that's at work and finding ways to partner and collaborate.
Absolutely.
The Presbyterian Church, PCUSA, has an active environmental concerns office in Louisville. It always comes up, the various topics. Every other year, General Assembly is very active conversations, if not motions and overtures, to address sustainability, environmental concerns, across the United States. So that's a place, PCUSA.org would be a place to look.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, some United Methodist out there is going to call me up after I get home. You know that, right? Did somebody have their hand?
I think about 10 years ago, I remember it was a conference for the United Methodist Church nationally, but they were asking churches to stop buying styrofoam cups. I would like them to stop manufacturing styrofoam cups.
Right.
Were various gatherings in the church, but I do remember that.
Yeah, the idea of not buying styrofoam in particular. Yeah, during COVID, the painful part of it was that for the food ministries, we were buying massive amounts of plastic to send people out with their food because we couldn't gather. So yeah, there are things that don't that work against us as well. But how often do we as churches get all the plastic forks and the plastic knives and spoons so that we won't have to clean up afterwards, right? So it's just a quick dump into the garbage can. And there is something to be said about challenging each other to better practices. One of the vivid memories that I have was in 2001. Did I go to Cuba? Yeah, we'll just call it 2001 because I know it was either one or two. And it was before it really opened up at all. We were in on a special visa. My passport never shows that I was actually there. It's kind of interesting how we ended up in there. But we ended up behind the garbage truck, which is a little pickup truck. And the garbage that they picked up from the house that was going by was the small little bag from, say, what you would fill up in your bathroom. And that was the garbage for the week. And it went to the back of the pickup truck, and the pickup truck kept going. And that's all that was in the back of that pickup truck. Necessity being the mother of invention, there was not a lot to throw away. But we've become very casual, and I think if we're more intentional, we can work back down our plastic waste. So, alrighty, I think that just about does it then. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for tuning in. You want to let us know when the next one is and all that good stuff?
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for those online joining us. Again, next month, Thursday, February 16th, we'll be at Temple Sinai on Lakeside. We'll be there at 7 o'clock. And again, Andrew Krizak will be presenting. He's at St. John's Episcopal Church. So we continue the conversation, looking at various responses, and tonight was a very helpful response to the climate crisis, very specific ways to help us out. So thank you so much, Christina.